Today we wander with Saint Pachomius. He lived from 292 to 348, and his feast day is May 9th. He is the patron saint of the monastic community. Pachomius was just walking down the street one day when Roman soldiers captured him and threw him on a big boat full of other young men. The boat set off down the Nile, the greatest river in the world, which runs through Egypt, where Pachomius was born. "What's going on?" he asked. "Where are they taking us?" "They're sending us down the Nile to Thebes," another captive said. "They're going to force us to be soldiers in the Roman army." After days on the river, Pachomius was tired, hungry, sore, and scared. But when the boat landed at Thebes, kind strangers brought all the captives food at the docks. "Why are these people helping us?" he asked. "They don't know us." "They're Christians," someone told him. Pachomius never forgot those kind strangers. The Romans forced him to join their army and fight, but when he finally got out, he set off to find more Christians. He found a village full of Egyptian Christians who taught him about Jesus and baptized him. Then he followed a hermit named Palemon out into the desert near where Anthony had wrestled in prayer with the devil. Pachomius thought he would spend the rest of his life alone in the desert, but one day, while he was praying on the banks of the Nile, an angel appeared to him. "Build a home here for hermits," the angel told him. Pachomius didn't have any other hermits to help him, and the ones he knew didn't want to live with other people. That was what it meant to be a hermit. But he worried about all the hermits living by themselves out in the desert. Who would protect them if someone tried to harm them? Who would take care of them if they got sick? So he built a home for hermits on the bank of the Nile, as the angel had commanded him. He wasn't sure if anyone else would want to live there, but when his new home was done, more than 100 hermits streamed in from the desert to join him. There were so many that Pachomius had to build a new home to fit them all. And when that home was done, so many hermits still wanted to join him that he just kept building home after home. Pachomius knew the hermits didn't want to bother with all the work it took to live together in peace. They didn't want to think about who would do the cooking and cleaning and building and repairs, or how to spend their days. So he organized everything for them as their abbot, the leader of the home for hermits. He cooked their meals and grew vegetables in the garden, answered the door when anyone knocked, and took care of everyone who got sick. And he wrote down the first set of rules for the desert community, which included rules for how to pray and eat and sleep, called the angelic rule. The rules were strict but compassionate, so that nobody would wear themselves out or get sick. But one of the hermits thought he had to work and work to please God. He worked so hard his hands bled, and his brother monk begged him to stop. "It's impossible for me not to work," the hermit cried. Then Pachomius came by and saw his bloody hands. "Who told you to work so hard?" he asked. "Don't you know God is merciful?" At this, the hermit began to cry. For a whole year, his eyes were full of tears. After that, Pachomius sent anyone else who was full of worry to him. No one else could comfort them the way he did, because he had once been just as full of worry as them. The demons who lived in the desert hadn't liked it when Anthony first came there, and they liked it even less when Pachomius started building his homes for hermits. If Pachomius went out to pray, they'd run around his feet, making fun of him. Sometimes they appeared like a huge army surrounding him on either side. Other times they shook the whole foundation of his house. But Pachomius just picked up his harp and sang, "God is our shelter and our strength. We won't fear even if the earth shakes." And whenever Pachomius started to sing, the demons vanished like smoke. Because God protected Pachomius, he could walk on scorpions or snakes without being bitten. Whenever he needed a ride across the Nile, crocodiles let him ride on his back and took him wherever he asked. And Pachomius thanked God for it all. For the rest of his life, men and women streamed into the wild land outside the cities to join him. By the time he died, thousands of people lived in his hermitages all over the desert, because even the hermits had learned that it's better to live together than alone.